from the sands of Persia to the castles of Europe, from holy wars to forgotten empires. The clash of swords shaped the fate of nations. These are not just battles. They are turning points that changed history forever. This is the story of courage, conquest, and destiny. The top 10 battles that defined the medieval world. Number 10. Battle of Tours, 732 AD. The year is 732 AD. Europe stands on the edge of a storm. From the south, across the Pyrenees Mountains, comes a powerful force. The Umayyad Caliphate, led by the brilliant general Abdul Rahman al-Ghafiqi. They have conquered Spain, swept through North Africa, and now their eyes turn toward the heart of Europe, Frankish Gaul. Their mission is both conquest and faith, to spread the banner of Islam farther than ever before. The lands tremble as the Umayyad cavalry advance. Swift, deadly, and unstoppable. Villages burn, and cities fall one after another. But in the north, one man refuses to yield. His name is Charles Martel, the Hammer of the Franks. A skilled tactician and fierce warrior, Charles unites the fractured Frankish tribes under one banner. He knows this battle will decide the fate of Christian Europe, and perhaps the shape of the world itself. The two armies finally meet near the town of Tours in France. The Muslims command nearly 50,000 men, mostly light cavalry, masters of desert warfare. Charles commands fewer troops, but his men are armored infantry, disciplined, silent, and determined. As dawn breaks, fog covers the field. For hours, both sides wait. Then the Umayyad cavalry charges. Thousands of horses thundering across the plains, their blades flashing like fire in the sun. But Charles's men hold their ground. Their tight formation becomes an iron wall, repelling wave after wave of cavalry assaults. The battle rages for 2 days, and both sides suffer heavy losses. During the chaos, Abdul Rahman himself is struck down. Without their leader, the Umayyad army begins to falter. By nightfall, they retreat back toward Spain, their European campaign shattered. Charles Martel stands victorious, and his victory echoes through history. The Battle of Tours becomes a turning point, marking the halt of Muslim expansion into Western Europe. Many later call it the battle that saved Christendom. But more than faith or empire, it was a clash of worlds. East and West, crescent and cross, destiny and defiance. In the smoky dawn after battle, the Franks stand silent among the fallen. And from that silence, a new age of Europe begins. Number 9. Battle of Hastings, 1066 AD. The year is 1066 AD, and the fate of England hangs by a thread. King Edward the Confessor has died without an heir, and 3 powerful men now claim his throne. Among them, Harold Godwin's son, the Saxon lord who seizes the crown, and William, Duke of Normandy, who believes it rightfully his. Across the English Channel, William gathers his army, thousands of Norman knights, archers, and soldiers of fortune. He builds ships, sharpens swords, and prays for wind. When the seas finally calm, his fleet sails toward destiny. On October 14th, 1066, the two armies meet near the small village of Hastings. Harold's Saxons stand atop a hill, forming a solid shield wall, a wall of wood, iron, and courage. Below them, William's forces prepare for battle. The air fills with the sound of horns, hooves, and war cries. The Normans attack again and again, their arrows raining like deadly rain. But the Saxons do not break. Then William uses a bold trick. He orders his troops to feign retreat. The Saxons chase, breaking formation, and that's when the Norman cavalry strikes. The shield wall collapses. Harold is struck, an arrow to the eye, and the Saxon line falls into chaos. By nightfall, the battle is over. William stands victorious. William the Conqueror, the new king of England. The Battle of Hastings changes history forever, ending Anglo-Saxon rule and beginning the Norman Age. From this single day, a new England is born, one shaped by conquest, courage, and fate. William the Conqueror stood victorious, his name forever carved into the stones of time. This was not just a battle, it was the birth of a new England, one that would blend Saxon and Norman blood to forge a new era. From that day, castles began to rise across the land. The English language began to change, and a new order was born, one forged in blood, ambition, and destiny. The Battle of Hastings was more than victory. It was transformation. The dawn of Norman England had begun, Number 8. Battle of Hattin, 1187 AD. The year is 1187 AD, and the Holy Land burns beneath the sun. For nearly a century, Crusader kingdoms have ruled Jerusalem. But far to the east, a new leader rises. A man of honor, strategy, and unshakable faith, Saladin al-Ayyubi, known to the West as Saladin. The Crusader states, proud yet divided, stand against him. Their king, Guida Lusignan, rallies the armies of the cross, knights in heavy armor, carrying relics and banners of faith. They march toward Tiberias, hoping to confront Saladin's forces head-on. But Saladin has already set the trap. Under the blazing desert sun, he cuts off their access to water, burning the grasslands around them, the air thick with smoke and heat. The Crusaders, weary and thirsty, are lured toward a hill called Hattin, where two volcanic horns rise from the earth. There, Saladin's army surrounds them. Tens of thousands of archers and horsemen, disciplined, swift, and patient. As dawn breaks, the desert becomes an inferno. Arrows rain like fire, striking shields and flesh alike. The Crusaders try to charge, but exhaustion and thirst crush their spirit. The Holy Cross, their sacred banner, falls into Muslim hands. The once mighty Crusader army collapses under the relentless assault. King Guy is captured, and with him, most of the Christian nobility of Jerusalem. Only a handful escape the slaughter. When the battle ends, Saladin shows his true greatness. He treats the prisoners with dignity, sparing the lives of most, even his royal foes. But the path to Jerusalem now lies open. 2 months later, Saladin enters the holy city, not as a destroyer, but as a liberator. No blood is spilled, no churches are burned. The same city that had seen rivers of blood in the First Crusade now witnesses mercy and peace. The Battle of Hattin marks the end of Crusader dominance in the Holy Land, and the rise of Saladin as one of history's most noble conquerors. A man who proved that true victory lies not only in battle, but in compassion after the fight. Number 7. Battle of Agincourt, 1415 AD. The year is 1415 AD. Deep in the 100 Years' War, England's young king, Henry V, leads a weary army through France, outnumbered, sick, and trapped near a muddy field called Agincourt. Facing him stands a massive French force, knights in shining armor, banners fluttering in the wind. Confident that victory is certain, at dawn, rain turns the battlefield into a swamp. Henry orders his men, mostly archers, to plant their stakes and take position. Then silence, until a single arrow flies. Thousands follow. The sky darkens with English longbow fire. French knights charge, but the mud swallows their horses. Armor becomes a prison, heavy, sinking, useless. The narrow field traps them. They fall upon each other, crushed by their own ranks. When the chaos ends, France lies broken. Thousands of nobles are dead. Henry's few thousand soldiers stand victorious. At Agincourt, courage, discipline, and cunning overcome pride in numbers. It is a triumph of strategy over arrogance. And Henry V's legend is born. The muddy fields of Agincourt become forever stained, with the price of ambition and the brilliance of the bow. Number 6. Battle of Manzikert, 1071 AD. The year is 1071 AD. On the plains of Manzikert, in eastern Anatolia, two great powers face each other. The mighty Byzantine Empire, led by Emperor Romanos IV Diogenes, and the rising Seljuk Turks, commanded by Alp Arslan, the lion hero. The Byzantines march with pride and confidence, but arrogance clouds their vision. Romanos seeks glory. Alp Arslan seeks destiny. When battle begins, the Seljuk horse archers move like shadows, swift, silent, deadly. They surround the Byzantines in a crescent trap, raining arrows before vanishing into dust. As evening falls, betrayal strikes from within. A Byzantine general retreats, leaving Romanos exposed. The empire's great army collapses in chaos. Captured and brought before Alp Arslan, Romanos expects humiliation. Instead, the Sultan lifts him with respect and says, "Had I been captured, you would have killed me, but I forgive you." The Battle of Manzikert shatters Byzantine power in Asia Minor, opening the path for Turkish expansion and changing the course of Middle Eastern history forever. In one day, an empire's pride falls, and a new power rises from a step. Number 5. Battle of Bannockburn, 1314 AD. The year is 1314 AD, and Scotland stands on the edge of freedom or destruction. For years, the English crown has claimed Scotland as its own, but one man refuses to bow: Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. At Bannockburn, near Stirling, he faces the might of King Edward II's army, thousands of heavily armed English knights and archers, against a smaller, determined Scottish force, fighting for their homeland. On the eve of battle, Robert rides out to confront an English knight, Henry de Bohun. With a single stroke of his axe, he splits the knight's helmet, a symbol that the Scots will not kneel. The next morning, the fields tremble as the English advance. But the ground is soft and narrow, chosen carefully by Bruce. English cavalry charge, only to find themselves trapped in the mud and marshes. Scottish schiltrons, tight circles of spearmen, hold firm, repelling wave after wave of armored horsemen. Panic spreads through the English ranks. Their power crumbles beneath the fierce Scottish counterattack. By sunset, the mighty English army flees the field, broken, humiliated, defeated. The Battle of Bannockburn becomes Scotland's greatest triumph, a symbol of courage, strategy, and unity against impossible odds. Robert the Bruce secures his nation's freedom, and his name is forever carved into the heart of Scottish history. Battle number 4, Siege of Jerusalem, 1099 AD. The year is 1099 AD, and the holy city of Jerusalem stands at the heart of faith and war. For 3 long years, crusading armies from Europe have marched across deserts and mountains, answering the call of Pope Urban II to reclaim the city from Muslim rule. Now, at last, they stand before its golden walls, led by men like Godfrey of Bouillon, Raymond of Toulouse, and Tancred. The Crusaders are starving, exhausted, and few, but their faith burns brighter than ever. Inside the city, Fatimid defenders prepare for a final, desperate stand. The siege begins in June. The Crusaders build wooden towers, battering rams, and ladders from the ruins of nearby villages. Under the scorching sun, arrows and stones rain from the walls. Disease spreads, water runs dry, yet they do not give up. On July 15th, the final assault begins. The Crusaders push their siege towers forward. Flaming arrows streak across the sky, and chaos engulfs the walls of Jerusalem. After hours of brutal fighting, Godfrey's men breach the defenses, and the gates of the holy city fall open. What follows is a moment both triumphant and tragic. The Crusaders, consumed by vengeance and zeal, unleash a storm of violence across the city. For 2 days, blood runs through the streets, a dark shadow upon a holy victory. When the killing ends, the survivors weep in silence. The Crusaders kneel at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, their armor stained with dust and blood. They have reclaimed Jerusalem, but at a terrible cost. The siege of Jerusalem becomes both legend and warning, a tale of faith, fury, and the price of holy war. It marks the birth of the Crusader kingdoms and a new age of conflict that will shape centuries to come. In victory, the Crusaders find not peace, but the beginning of endless crusades to hold what they have taken. Battle number 3, Fall of Constantinople, 1453 AD. The year is 1453 AD, the final chapter of the Byzantine Empire. For over 1,000 years, Constantinople has stood as a fortress of faith and empire, its mighty walls defying every invasion. But now, from the east, a young and determined ruler comes,
Sultan Muhammad,
the 21-year-old Ottoman conqueror, whose dream is to unite the world under one banner. With more than 80,000 soldiers and giant cannons never before seen, he surrounds the city, defended by only 7,000 Byzantines under Emperor Constantine XI. For 53 days, the thunder of cannon fire shakes the land. Each blast tears through the ancient Theodosian walls, symbols of a fading empire. The defenders rebuild every night, their courage shining against impossible odds. But on May 29th, the final assault begins. Wave after wave of Ottoman troops storm the walls. The defenders fight bravely, but when the gates finally break, the empire's 1,000-year history collapses. Emperor Constantine falls fighting among his men, his body never found, his spirit forever tied to the city he loved. At sunrise, Sultan Mehmed enters Constantinople in silence. He walks to the Hagia Sophia, prays, and orders mercy for its people. The city is renamed Istanbul, and the world witnesses the dawn of a new empire. The fall of Constantinople ends the medieval age and begins a new era where cannons, courage, and destiny reshape history forever. Battle number 2, Battle of Ain Jalut, 1260 AD. The year is 1260 AD. The world trembles before the unstoppable Mongol Empire, whose armies have burned cities from China to Baghdad. No force has ever defeated them until now. In the valleys of Ain Jalut, in modern-day Palestine, two great powers meet. On one side, the Mongols under Kitbuka, a fearless general of Hulagu Khan. On the other, the newly risen Mamluks of Egypt, led by the brilliant commander Sultan Qutuz, and his warrior ally, Baybars. Knowing the Mongols' strength, Kutuz sets a clever trap. He hides part of his army behind the hills, sending a small force forward to lure the enemy in. The Mongols charge, swift and deadly, but when they reach the valley, the Mamluks strike from all sides. The desert echoes with steel and thunder. Kutuz shouts, "O Islam," and leads the final charge himself. By sunset, the Mongols, once invincible, are crushed. The Battle of Ain Jalut becomes the first great Mongol defeat, proving they are not gods of war, but men who can bleed and fall. From this victory, the Mamluks save the Islamic world, and history changes forever. Battle number 1, Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. The year is 331 BC. The ancient world stands on the brink of transformation. In the dusty plains of Gaugamela, near modern-day Iraq, two empires collide for control of the known world. On one side stands Alexander the Great, young, fearless, and driven by destiny. On the other, King Darius III of Persia, ruler of the largest empire ever built, commanding a massive army of men, chariots, and war elephants. Though outnumbered 5-1, Alexander's confidence never wavers. Before dawn, under a sky of burning stars, he rides before his men and declares, "The world will remember what we do today." When the battle begins, Darius unleashes his chariots, their blades spinning, cutting through dust, and screams. But Alexander's troops open their ranks, letting the chariots pass harmlessly through, a masterstroke of discipline. Then, at the perfect moment, Alexander leads his companion cavalry in a daring wedge formation, striking straight at the Persian center. Darius panics, his line breaks, the great king flees, and his empire crumbles behind him. The Battle of Gaugamela seals Alexander's legend, a victory of strategy over size, courage over fear. From this field of dust and destiny, the Macedonian conqueror becomes Lord of Asia, and a new era of history begins. Empires rise and fall, but on the plains of Gaugamela, a single man's ambition changes the world forever.